Ready to get creative? Well, grab some plates at Dollar Tree and let's transform them into something beautiful for your home. So let's get started. For this project, I'll be making a tier tray, and so I headed to the dinnerware aisle at Dollar Tree, and I'll be using these beautiful turquoise swirl stoneware. I picked up a dinner plate, a side plate, and a bowl for this DIY project. For glue, you'll want to use a strong glue like E6000 for a permanent hold. But for something temporary, you can also use hot glue, which will give just enough stability for a short-term display, and you can easily take it apart later. Now, before we dive into the project, I first wanted to share some options and ideas with what you can do with these dishes. So first, you can turn the bowl over and place a side dish on top, and this makes a little nice tray for jewelry or a little planter or for a dessert table. You can also turn the bowl upward, which gives it a different look. You can do the same thing with a larger plate. I think this is such a pretty little tray that can be used again in so many ways. You can also incorporate some candlesticks, which gives it an elegant and stylish look. Dollar Tree has some really nice ones, and so I'll be using some of their glass taper candle holders. And you can leave them as is, but I'm going to paint these, and I'm using linen from Folk Art. So first I'm just wiping it down with some rubbing alcohol to remove any grease. Now you can also spray paint these or prime them with a spray paint primer, or you can add some baking soda to the mixture, and that helps the paint to adhere better and it keeps it in place. I'm using a round sponge brush, and that really helps to minimize streaks and it covers it faster. And then I just seal it. I like to use Krylon spray sealer. And so other options, you can attach the side plate on top of the candle holder, and that gives it a nice elegant appearance. Attach the candle holder on top of the side plate, and then attach the bowl right on top. And this is such a chic and stylish jewelry stand. And speaking of jewelry making is definitely something I've really been wanting to learn this summer, which leads us to the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. There are so many categories to choose from crafting to cooking to getting organized. Personally, I've really been wanting to enhance my phone photography skills even more because as a crafter and content creator, I really want my creations to shine through the pictures. And so I recently took a class called Product Photography, Create Images That Sell by Elena Hassel. I really enjoyed this class. I learned so much on composition and camera angles. The teacher was very engaging and even gave very helpful editing tips using your phone. Summer is a perfect time to pursue your hobbies and interests, and Skillshare is a great place to start. And so the first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So get started today. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring today's video. Now continuing on with the project, I will be making a 3-tier tray, and so again for a permanent hold, use a strong glue like E6000, but you can also use a combination of both. And so to glue, I flip the side plate over and then I add some glue on the rim of the candlestick and attach that in the center of the smaller plate. And you really can position a candlestick whichever way you like. And then I add some glue on the other end of the candlestick and I place that right in the center of the plate. Okay, continuing on to my 3-tier tray, I attach another candlestick right on top in the center of the smaller plate. I apply some glue on the candlestick and place the bowl right on top of that. Now your stylish 3-tier tray is ready to be used. Use it for jewelry or for decorating or for displaying succulents or greenery. It's stylish and functional. Dollar Tree has these adorable decorative bead dishware, and I really love the pattern and the colors. And for this project, I grabbed a plate and a bowl. And just like the previous DIY, there are so many options. You can place a bowl below, and I love how the base matches, or place a candlestick in between. This is another Dollar Tree taper candlestick, and it's just so dainty and pretty. But for this project, I wanted to add some wood elements to it. I'll be using a couple of these 1x2 inch wood from Dollar Tree. I'll be making a wood base and I'll be gluing these 2 pieces into a cross. And so I mark the length of the plate and I add a little more above that just to give some cushion. Now you'll actually need a total of 3 1x2s, and here are the measurements that I trimmed them to. To assemble, I lay the wood pieces flat and I glue the 2, 4, and 5/8 pieces towards the center sides of the 10-inch piece to form a cross. I'm using Titebond Quick and Thick glue for this project. For the smaller pieces, I'll be gluing them upright on the ends of the cross. So I'm just adding a little bit of glue on the smaller pieces. You can also apply it on the 4 ends of the cross first and then attach the smaller pieces. You do have a little time before the glue dries completely. So once that's assembled, I let that dry. Now, aside from painting or staining, this is pretty much done and you can definitely leave it as is. But I thought this would look even better with a little elevation and height. So I had a few options with what I already had on hand. The first was this round 5-inch pine wood. Now I really liked the way this looked, especially with the plate on top, but I had this whole other plan for it already, which you'll see in a minute. Instead, I decided to go with this hexagon shaped wood from Dollar Tree, which I already had. And you know what? It looked just as awesome on top. So I just apply some glue to attach them together and I make sure it's centered. Now for part 2 of this project, I'll be making a base for the bowl. So for that, I'll be using the 5-inch round pine wood and 4 tumbling tower blocks. Okay, so all I'll be doing for this simple base is glue the blocks equally spaced out all around. I just add a little bit of glue on the block and then I just attach that onto the sides of the wood round. And this wood round is just a perfect size for the bowl. Once the bases have completely dried, I give them a light sanding to remove any glue in the joints that may have seeped out. I'll be staining them and I'll be using this gel stain from Decor in the shade Walnut. So I'm using a brush to apply the color. Now, even though I did lightly sand over the hexagon, the color did go on a bit spotty in some areas. I don't know, maybe it was some sticky residue or some grease left behind, but whatever it was, I did go back to try to correct it. I tried sanding it a bit and then restaining it just so it blended better. I do apply the stain in small sections and then I wipe it down immediately before it dries so that you can see that wood grain even more underneath. So I just continue applying the stain all over in small sections and then wiping it down. You can paint or stain this any color you like. You could choose a lighter stain or paint it a beautiful olive color. The choice is yours, so get creative and make it match your style perfectly. With a smaller base, I stain it that same walnut stain, applying with a brush and then wiping it down immediately before it dries. I also made sure to apply it on the sides and the blocks. Seal it with your preferred sealer, and this DIY is done. The wood just complements the ceramic plate beautifully, and because the plate and bowl isn't glued down, you can easily switch it out anytime. Now, while I was at Dollar Tree, one of their napkins caught my attention. It had a beautiful blue tropical design, and I wanted to use it for this project. I also picked up their clear decorative cake plate with a scallop edge. First thing I'm going to do is give the plate a coat of white acrylic paint, and I'm using Apple Barrel's white. I'll also apply the white paint on the back, and I only apply it up to that scalloped area. I'm going to decoupage the napkin onto the plate, so first I'll remove that extra layer behind the napkin and separate it. To make it easier to work with, I place the plate on top of the napkin and I trim off some of that excess. I leave about 1.5 inches of extra napkin all around. Once I got that cut, I'll be applying some Mod Podge all over the top surface of the plate. I just drizzle that right on top and then I use a brush to spread it out. Now, another option, you can also skip painting the plate, and this will give a more translucent finish, which is also nice. Because the edges curve a bit and it's not completely flat, I decided to start in the flat center and work my way out, and this way the napkin won't get caught on the edges and rip as I lay it down. Once the napkin is in place, I gently smooth it down with my fingers. I also use a clear plastic sheet to press it down, which helps to smooth it out without breaking the napkin. And then I just finish off the edges, applying more Mod Podge on the edges and then smoothing it out, gently pressing down with my fingers and a clear plastic. I want the napkin to cover the sides of the plate, showing off the scallop edge, so I turn the plate over and I apply that Mod Podge on the edge, making sure the napkin completely covers the sides. And then I just apply another layer of Mod Podge right on top of the plate. And this will help to seal in that napkin and protect the surface of the plate. I also make sure to cover the sides with Mod Podge as well. I let that Mod Podge dry completely and I leave it overnight, and this gives the wrinkles and bubbles time to smooth out. Now once that's completely dry, I just get a small piece of sanding sheet and I remove the excess napkin along the edges. I also use a little emery board, and that just helps get in between those scallop edges. It actually removes the napkin nicely. For the base, I grabbed a pack of these plastic bowls from Dollar Tree. These actually have a nice detailing on them. I'll be using one, and I'm just going to paint the inside white, and I'm going to leave the outer part of the bowl unpainted. Because it's clear, the white shows through, and I don't have to worry about the paint chipping. Next, I'm going to glue the plate right on top, but as I was looking at it, I thought it was just too short. You couldn't really see the base, and so I decided to stack another bowl on top. So I just painted another bowl white on the inside, and then I glued the bottoms together. Then I applied some more glue, E6000, on that raised part of the rim of the bowl, and I just attached that onto the bottom of the plate. I give that time to dry and set. And I really loved how it turned out. For the final DIY, I'll be using this plastic oval bowl from Dollar Tree. I'm going to prime it with some white spray paint from Rust-Oleum, which bonds nicely to plastic. So I take it out and I give it a full coat of paint. Now you can leave it as is, which was my initial plan. It's a nice, smooth white finish. But then I changed my mind and I decided to give the inside of the bowl a little contrast. I'll be painting the inside with this Waverly chalk paint in the shade Sandstone. First I thought I would just apply a little border of the sandstone along the top rim of the bowl, but I really love the neutral color, so I decided to just paint the whole inner part of the bowl that color. Now you can let some of that white show through, and this will give it a really nice stone kind of look. I also brushed some of that sandstone along the front rim of the bowl just to define that area a little more. And finally, I'm going to add some feet to the bowl. I'll be trimming this 1-inch square dowel. I get these at Home Depot, and I'm going to measure and trim 2 to about 2 1/4 inch. I'll be staining them with this gel stain in the shade Walnut from Decor. On the bottom of the bowl, there are these 2 small bumper pegs. They're really tiny, but when gluing the legs, I just make sure to position them on the side of the pegs that's closer to the center rather than towards the edges. I'm using E6000 for glue, and that way they stay put. And to protect the surface of the bowl, I give it a final spray with this Krylon spray sealer. This DIY is done, and I love how it turned out. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe and click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of my future videos. Don't forget to check out the link for Skillshare in the description box below. Until next time, bye!